So I built this out of a big piece of scrap walnut that I had laying around, used from other stuff, and I figured I'd turn the old man a mug. Second turning project I ever done. So it was like 5¼ inches deep. I cut the handle out of another piece of walnut that I had with it, and it turned out okay until I figured out I had to do the handle. And I measured up, made it look good, sanded it down. And I was scared about putting it in, and I had a couple people suggest just pinning it and drilling. Got up my gumption and said, hell with it, I'm going to drill them in and try this whole pinning thing. Well, while I was pinning it, my handle kind of cracked, so a thumb clamp always works well to keep it holding together. Taped it together, did some wood pins that I drilled out of some of the walnut, and covered up those dowel pins that I did before. And now I got it finished, and it's still on a lathe, so I had to cut it off and go with like the carving and stuff next. But the handle had a couple of cracks and like gaps and stuff in it, so I had to fill some holes, and so I ended up having to make my own wood glue for this.
Gonna try to fill.
And what I did was take a lot of the shavings off of the walnut itself and fill that in. I mean, it's strong enough, but it doesn't look pretty, of course. So here we go. I figured I'd give it a shot. YouTube, whatever. So sand up a bunch of stuff, make some dust, throw some glue in there, mix it up, slap it around a little bit, got the wood stick going, bring it over to the project, and start slapping it on there. Had to press it in with the fingers to make it pretty, because the wood stick doesn't always do the best of jobs. So I mean, it's great for mixing, but getting it perfect and pretty in there, still leaving it on the lathe. So here we go. I got it on there. Looks cool. Now let's see what I can do with getting it finished off. So here's the gaps. Filled them in. A little wet, but not too bad. I'll figure it out. I'll sand it out. So I got it done. Now I have to lay out the graphic. And Immerlachen is always smiling. That's for my old man. And he is. He's always smiling. So when he's drinking beer, of course he can always be smiling. So I laid it out with paper. I traced it out with pen. Got the dimple in there. And then started carving it out, or cutting it out. That's a rough out right there. And I was scared, but I got the first cut done, and that's why I posted this the first time. So now I got my grandfather's carving tools, and I started getting into the piece and taking all these little bits and pieces out, and I'm very surprised at how it came out. I mean, love carving it, love these little tools that he had. It's just one of those things. It's a great lineage. Took me some time to play with it, but I was surprised that I could deal with the font. That was my biggest thing. So got that done. Now I have to level out the bottom because, I had to cut it off and make it pretty. When I cut it off, it wasn't level, so that's what the whole sanding bit's about. And then I lay out the graphic on the bottom, and again with the pen and the awl and stuff, I had to make sure that I had a good dent so I could see what I'm doing. After I did it with the pen, I still didn't write hard enough because it's end grain. So I used an awl to make a dent further in so that I can use my little chisel later and go in with the graphic. I branded Dead in the Middle, my brand, because, it's for the old man. And he knows what my brand is, but I think he'd still really enjoy it. Took a little bit of time. I mean, I had to poke a little harder in. It's end grain, so. Then I had to pick out the right one. I mean, all of grandfather's tools, he had these really skinny files and stuff. But that one's gonna be perfect. I'm listening to Maker's Cast. So I get through it, got it branded, it's pretty, it's done, you know, side view, and then the front view I was just thoroughly impressed with. I couldn't believe it. So, well, I had to break it in for the old man, so why not finish the walnut oil? I mean, there's the perspective to my model. I mean, it's a little bit taller, but I had to break it in. So, for the old man, threw a beer in it, had a beer on him. But thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this. I did. I love this build. It's going to be a lot of fun. Subscribe, ask questions. So if you enjoyed this video, take a moment to subscribe, add any comments you like, whatever. But hey, it's been cool. Thanks guys.